Hello and welcome back. Today we are going to study The Rape of the Lock as mock epic poem. What are the things, what are the elements which made the poem a mock epic poem? So we go on. The Rape of the Lock is a long narrative poem by Alexander Pope. It's a faithful and true reflection of 18th century life. It's a satire, a mock epic poem and a narrative poem. Now we are going to know what is an epic. The epic is a narrative poem of supposed divine inspiration, treating of a subject of great and momentous importance for mankind, the characters of the story being partly human and partly divine, and the language and style in which the incidents are related being full of elevation and dignity. तो एक एपिक वो होता है जिसमें सुपर नेचुरल डिवाइन चीज़ों की बात की हो जाती है, लैंग्वेज उसका हाई स्टैंडर्ड वाला होता है और वो ह्यूमन लाइफ के लिए इम्पोर्टेंट होता है. नाउ व्हाट इज एन mock epic? What is a mock epic poem? If a long narrative poem should satisfy all the taste of epic poetry, but if the subject which is celebrated be a trivial nature, like the cutting of a lock of a woman's hair, which is the story that is related in the Pope's The Rape of the Lock, then such a poem is called mock epic poem. A mock epic poem is supposed to be the inspiration of a muse. The characters are partly human and partly divine, and the language is stilted and grandiose, but the subject is of a very frivolous and commonplace nature. तो एक मोक एपिक पोएम वो होता है जिसमें उसका लैंग्वेज एपिक पोएम के लैंग्वेज के जैसा ही होता है और सारे कंडीशंस को वो पूरा करता है. एपिक पोएम के सारे कंडीशंस को, उसमें भी मोक एपिक में भी सुपर नेचुरल एलिमेंट्स होते हैं, बट लैंग्वेज जो होता है वो फ्रीवलेस होता है, बट लैंग्वेज भी बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़िया होता है और जो थीम होता है, जो सब्जेक्ट होता है जिस पर पोएम बनाया गया होता है वो बहुत फ्रीवलेस और ट्रिवियल होता है, मतलब तुच्छ होता है, उसका कोई मतलब नहीं होता है, इग्नोर करने जैसा वो थीम होता है. वैसे थीम पर ये मोक एपिक बनाया जाता है. सो नाउ वी गो ऑन. The Pope called The Rape of the Lock a heroic comical poem, which is another name for a mock epic. It belongs to the class of literature called burlesque. A burlesque is a parody on a large scale in which not a single poem but a whole type of style of literature is parodied, the language and thought proper to a serious theme reproduced in setting forth something ridiculous or trivial. तो ये बार्लेस्क लिटरेचर के टाइप बार्लेस्क से ये बिलोंग करता है. इंस्टेड ऑफ ग्रैंड पैशंस एंड ग्रेट फाइट्स बिटवीन हीरोज इन विच द इमोर्टल्स टेक पार्ट, we have as the theme of The Rape of the Lock a petty armless quarrel assisted by the spirit of the air. The epic portrays an age round the personality of a god or a semi-god, and its characters are heroes. The Rape of the Lock, on the other hand, gives us a picture of a fashionable society. The central figure in that picture is a pretty society girl, and the other characters are a rash youth, a police dandy, and a few frivolous women. Instead of deep and genuine passions as found in ancient epics, we come across a succession of mock passions in The Rape of the Lock. So इसमें लैंग्वेज बहुत ही ज़्यादा हार्ड होता है, सटायर होता है. इसमें सटायर किया है पोप ने मोक एपिक में, लेकिन थीम फ्रीवलेस है, थीम तुच्छ है. The action of The Rape of the Lock turns on a trivial incident the action of The Rape of the Lock turns on a trivial incident, the cutting of a lock of hair from a lady's head, such a thing that had taken place in reality. One Lord Peter cut off a lock of hair from the head of Lady Arabella Former. There was a quarrel between two families, and Pope was requested to make a jest of the incident and laugh them together. This was the occasion of the composition of the poem. Pope did give to the world a fine work of wit, the best mock heroic poem in English language, but we don't know whether the families were reconciled. तो जब थीम इतना ज़्यादा तुच्छ था, जब सब्जेक्ट इतना ज़्यादा फ्रिवलेस था, तो ज़रूरत ही क्या थी पोएम बनाने की. पहली बात तो इट्स आर्ट ऑफ लिटरेचर, इट्स द टाइप ऑफ लिटरेचर, एंड दूसरी बात पोप वाज रिक्वेस्टेड to make a jest. तो पोप को बोला गया था, रिक्वेस्ट किया गया था कि आप एक मजाकिया सा पोएम बनाइए जिससे कि ये लॉर्ड पीटर और अराबेला फॉर्मर के बीच जो ये लड़ाई थी वो वापस से उन दोनों की दोस्ती हो जाए। और उन पोप मेड द पोएम टू लाफ देम टुगेदर, कि वो साथ में हंसे। The theme of the poem is suggested in the invocation as in an epic poem, but the theme is ridiculously trivial in comparison with the grand theme of an epic. The action opens with a mock heroic manner with the awakening of Belinda. The heroine of the poem, Belinda, is very goddess of beauty, and the luster of her eye surpasses that of the sun, who peeped timorously through the white curtains in Belinda's room. Stole through white curtains, sought a timorous ray, and opened those eyes that must eclipse the day. The whole structure of the rape of the lock is cast in the epic mood, but it could not be a serious epic because the incident is trivial, so we have the mock heroic comical poem. The poem is divided into cantos like an epic poem, and there are ironic parallels to the main incidents of the epic. The poem begins with an invocation in epic tradition. Say what strange motive goddess could compel a well-bred lord to assault a gentle will. As in epic, in the Rape of the Lock too, divine beings are portrayed. Belinda is in the divine care of the sylphs. Fairest of mortal, thou distinguished care of thousand bright inhabitants of air. But then the sylphs are fragile, airy beings, and they are helpless before the caprices of men. Despite all their concern for Belinda, her beautiful lock of hair is raped by the naughty Baron. There is the mischievous gnome who, like Milton's Satan, is intent upon making Belinda miserable, and thereby all her admirers. The gnome addresses the wayward queen who rules the sex from 15 to 50 thus: "Hear me, and touch Belinda with chagrin. That single act gives half the world's pain." The epic always uses supernatural element. In the Iliad, there are gods and goddesses. In the Rape of the Lock, there are sylphs and gnomes. तो यहाँ पे तुलना की गई है इलियाड एक एपिक है और उसकी, और द रेप ऑफ द लॉक विच इज मोक एपिक. Now, these aerial spirits are small and insignificant things, and are therefore exactly in keeping with the frivolity of the theme. They guard the person of the heroine, and when there is a fight between the followers of Belinda and those of the Baron, they take part in fight like the gods and goddesses in the Trojan War. Trojan War is a epic poem. Now, यहाँ पे भी ये सिल्फ्स जो हैं वो भी फाइट में हिस्सा लेते हैं. Now, propped on their bodkin spears, the spirits survey the growing combat or assist the prey. An epic poem must contain some episodes also. In keeping with this practice, Pope has introduced the episode of the game of ombre, which is described in great detail. There is also the hazardous journey of Umbriel to the cave of spleen. Then there is the battle between the lords and ladies, just like the battles in epic poetry, but in the true mock heroic style. This battle is fraught with fans and snuff instead of with swords and spears. तो यहाँ पे पोप ने उस पोएम में बहुत ही लंबा चौड़ा एक गेम के तरीके बताए थे और गेम के बारे में बताया था. और यहाँ पे एपिक में जैसे फाइट्स होते हैं, मोक हेरोइक में भी फाइट्स हुए, लेकिन वो फाइट्स फैंस और स्नफ्स के साथ हुए, न कि स्वॉर्ड्स और स्पेयर. मतलब भाले और तलवार के साथ नहीं हुए. फैन यानी जो प्रशंसक होते हैं, और स्नफ यानी जो सुंगंधानी और वैसा कुछ होता है जो हमारे रॉयलिटी को शो करता है, ऐसा कुछ. इन सब चीज़ों की हेल्प से फाइट होते हैं मोक हेरोइक में. नाउ देर आर सिंगल कॉम्बैट्स ऑल्सो बिटवीन बेलिंडा एंड द बैरन, एंड बिटवीन क्लारिसा एंड सर प्लूम. Belinda's Toilet is another engaging account in which Pope has attributed in a perfect mock heroic manner the solemnity of a religious observance to the luxurious toilet of a lady of fashion and frivolity. Puffs, powders, patches, Bibles, billet doux, all are brought to the same table and slight, and the series are all strongly synthesized. The Rape of the Lock is a rare instance in which the slight theme is given an exalted treatment for satirical purpose. All through the poem, a pose of importance is given to all that is thoroughly unimportant and insignificant and practically meaningless and farcical. The very conception of writing an epic on the rape of a lock of hair is funny and bears testimony to the poet's effort to make the little great and the great little. यहाँ पे great चीज़ों को little दिखाया गया है और little चीज़ों को great दिखाया गया है. In the Rape of the Lock, the balance between the concealed irony and the assumed gravity is nicely trimmed. The little is made great and the great made little. It is the triumph of insignificance, the apotheosis of foppery and folly. Thank you for watching my video. I hope this video will be helpful to your exams. एग्ज़ाम के लिए ये टॉपिक बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है. इस पर 20 मार्क्स के क्वेश्चंस आते हैं और इसको आप सीधे जाके एग्ज़ाम में लिख सकते हो. पूरा सारे पॉइंट्स कवर हुए हैं और 20 में 20 लाने का ही इसका ये कॉन्सेप्ट है. थैंक यू फॉर वॉचिंग. वेट फॉर द नेक्स्ट वीडियो.